Afternoon, everyone. Welcome in our podcast here in the Now Finance Podcast, where we discuss different business and finance principles so we can add value to all our listeners here in the country or even outside the Philippines. Today, we have a very exciting topic. As we all know, 2021 started slowly but slowly regaining back our progress as an economy. And today, guys, we will be having a very special guest. Actually, nag-guest na siya sa atin, no? First quarter of this year. Just to introduce our guest, he's rather an associate director at Colliers International Philippines. He covers office, residential, retail, leisure, and industrial segments. He conducts macroeconomic analysis and regularly assesses the impact of economic growth to the real estate sector. He handles client engagement through market overview presentations to equity analysts, property investors, and real estate firms. You know what, guys? His reports have been featured on national news programs such as CNN Philippines, Market Edge with Kathy Young, ANC Bloomberg Philippines, Business World Live, and many more platforms. So, guys, without further ado, let's welcome my good friend, Joey. Hi, Joey. Good afternoon.
Hello, hi Carlo. Good afternoon.
Ayan, maraming salamat ulit Joey no for
Yep.
giving your time with us, and I know we can add a lot of value for our listeners at this season, no. So we are now on the fourth quarter of this year, but as long as we can give updates for the past few months on what happened in the real estate sector, I believe it will be relevant with different organizations. So Joey, I'm just curious no with what's happening around. So our first question, ito yung madalas ko rin makuha no sa mga clients. How is the real estate market different from last year when the pandemic started from our current situation now? Kamusta ba yung improvements na na-experience natin?
Last year, you really felt the disruption in the property market, especially office and residential. And as I discussed during our first podcast,
Yeah.
office segment was really affected. So a lot of companies took a wait and see, and they paused in terms of their expansion plans. So now they're looking at what will be their short or near-term plans, their long-term plans. But right now they are definitely taking a wait and see because
Mhm.
you know inoculation has really been ramped up in Metro Manila and other key cities such as Cebu, Pampanga, and we see a lot of companies occupying office spaces in these areas. But I think they're still weighing their options at
Mhm.
this point. But in the Metro Manila office market, we still see rising vacancies. So a lot of
Okay.
companies implementing work from home. So they've been vacating office spaces,
Mhm.
and that's why we expect office vacancy in Metro Manila to
Yeah.
still increase for the remainder of 2021. But the
Mhm.
difference this year is that for 2021, we're starting to see transactions across
Mhm.
Metro Manila. So companies still occupy office spaces, in fact, even outside of Metro Manila. So you have the likes of Iloilo, Cebu,
Yeah.
Pampanga, among the top choices of companies that are moving
Right.
outside of Metro Manila. So we saw that
Mhm.
first half of 2021. So again, there are
Yeah.
definitely deals that we're
Mhm.
still recording for the first 6 months of 2021. There was some slowdown, especially when the government imposed a stricter lockdown in March, remember?
Yeah.
And but after that, somehow the companies have again started to look
Mhm.
for office space. In fact, my colleagues from the office leasing team are still busy looking
Yeah.
for office spaces for their clients and proactively
Right.
touching base with the occupants that are still planning to occupy space within and outside Metro Manila.
Yeah. Those are wonderful updates, no? Hearing from what you mentioned, I think these 2021 companies are being more conservative and they are now diversifying their portfolios in the nearby areas
Yes.
and even the key cities around the Philippines. And the good news about that is that the developments are spreading out. I have seen a lot of reports from different developers also that they are starting to build key cities also, such as in Bulacan, Pampanga, and like what you mentioned, Iloilo, Bacolod, and Davao. And I think that will be a good news for our provincial workforce because they now can work within their hometown and they can still earn a decent earning because of the BPOs and multinational companies. And I believe as we move forward, office sector will continuously rise up and regain back the momentum. So when it comes to residential prices, Joey, I'm just curious. When we encountered the pandemic last year, there's a lot of vacancies. But then again, I've seen some prices are still going up, some are going down. But on a general perspective, can we say that the residential sector will still continuously grow steadily in the coming years, 3 to 5 years maybe?
Well, to really be objective about it, we don't see an immediate increase in prices for the
Mhm.
residential market. Our
Okay.
forecast is that rents and the
Mhm.
prices for condominiums in major business hubs in Metro Manila will start to recover probably latter part of 2022. And our projection
Mhm.
is anchored on our forecasted
Yeah.
growth in office leasing. So
Mhm.
that is our projection, at least over the next 6 to 12 months. So there will be some
Mhm.
recovery. But
Yeah.
for 2021, we still see vacancies for condominium units in the
Mhm.
secondary market, those that are for lease
Right.
and for sale to still increase. No, speaking of vacancy, so that will probably result in some correction
Mhm.
of for rents and prices still across Metro Manila. So
Yeah.
again, recovery for the residential market will likely happen the latter part of 2022. But I think what's
Right.
positive for the residential market is that
Mhm.
developers continue to really be aggressive in terms of
Right.
launching projects, not just in
Mhm.
Metro Manila, but also in key urban areas outside the capital region, Pampanga, Bulacan, Tarlac. Mega World is launching
Yeah.
a major township in Bulacan. Of course,
Mhm.
really capitalizing on the infrastructure projects in the area. You have MRT 7, Bulacan Airport, uh, Bukawi, toll bypass toll roads, all these projects. And then you have Rockwell that
Yeah.
is launching its project in Pampanga,
Right.
also Bacolod, and even some developers that are into development of landed rest housing projects. No? So
Mhm.
house and lot only projects. You have the likes of the First Park Homes, which are residential projects that are really doing well and cater to
Amazing.
the housing requirements of a lot of overseas Filipino workers. So these are just
Yeah.
some projects that are doing well, and just a couple of developers that remain optimistic
Mhm.
with the growth prospect of the residential market, especially beyond this COVID-19 pandemic. So again, for Metro Manila, what's interesting is that developers continue to line up projects. So you have the likes of SMDC in the Bay Area, you have the likes of
Mhm.
DMCI, Maya, Avida, still very aggressive in terms
Yeah.
of launching new projects. So definitely there are bright prospects for the residential market, and we're likely
Yeah.
to see that beyond 2021.
Yeah, 100% agree with what you mentioned, Joey. I'm so glad seeing developers really reaching out to different locations in the Philippines and actually to give another perspective to all our viewers and listeners. Some investors are taking advantage also with the low price rates of rental properties, and some are really positioning their property investments because developers are also giving more lenient payment terms and more convenience with the online process as well. Recently, our organization, IQI Philippines, I've seen some transactions being processed from overseas and they can now transact residential investments via online platform. So I think it really depends on the perspective of the investors. So they can position in terms of residential sector. On the other hand, Joey, no, I'm so curious in this aspect, no, because in this pandemic, the e-commerce industry really grew rapidly, and we have seen that because of social distancing, because of the quarantine measures, companies are really placing their products online. So I think can we give some perspective regarding the warehousing and logistics sector, how it grew rapidly, and what are your observations?
Well, when you talk about logistics, definitely this is a property segment that
Mhm.
continues to achieve stability
Yeah.
despite the pandemic. While we see
Mhm.
disruptions in other segments such as office and residential,
Right.
uh, logistics sector continues to grow and thrive amid the pandemic. So we
Mhm.
have the likes of Ayala Land, Philinvest that remain aggressive with their expansion plans. So acquiring warehouses in northern, southern Luzon, building built to suit industrial warehouses, standard factory buildings. So this is the trend that we're seeing moving forward. In fact, these industrial properties, because they generate recurring income, are very feasible, viable properties that can be divested into the developer's real estate investment trust or REIT vehicles. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you look at the property market and probably rank each segment based on stability amid the pandemic, I would really say that logistics market stands out. And there has been a steady increase in industrial factory or standard factory lease rates across the Calaba, Cavite, and Laguna, Batangas region. And, if you talk about industrial sector logistics, one segment or subsector that is even rising at this point is called storage.
Wow.
The lack of meat, for example,
Mm.
resulted in the government
Mhm.
um, requiring the importation of more frozen meat, frozen
Mhm.
pork, and of course, the inoculation program of the government means that we will
Yeah.
be um, acquiring, purchasing more vaccines, and this require cold storage facilities. So that will, of course, likely really raise the demand for these cold storage facilities beyond
Yes.
2021. As we say at Colliers, the market is really hot on cold storage. So this is a
Mhm.
segment to watch
Amazing.
out for really moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, those are exciting news and updates. As we all know, what's happening with the real estate sector is that it's continuously growing in the midst of the challenges and it's continuously adapting with the changes. And we can see that there will be new breed of programs and, of course, how it can help more the investors around us. And to all our listeners, no, and viewers, we know that even though you're looking at different perspective, there will be always new thing that will come in the market. And maybe we can discuss a little about the real estate investment trust. No, I think this year, two or three developers launched their REITs, and last year, Ayala Land REIT started their launching also, and we have seen good feedback and even growth with the different companies who launched their REITs. So, Joey, can we give an overview for our viewers? What is REIT, and how can they take advantage about it?
Well, the REIT was launched by the government to democratize
Mm,
wealth, especially in the property sector. So,
right.
if you want to own, for instance, a piece of a property, an office building,
Mhm.
that generates recurring income. And of course, you don't have millions, billions to acquire that property or
Right.
purchase a floor. An office
Mhm.
space, definitely you can have a share in terms of ownership because of owning shares of of this REIT vehicle. So
Right.
it every REIT vehicle is mandated to distribute 90% of its income. So
Mhm.
that, of course,
Wow.
is a plus for a lot of property investors. It is also mandated by the government REIT companies to reinvest their earnings here in the Philippines. So it should
Mhm.
result in a further generation of jobs
Yeah.
locally here in the Philippines. And we believe this should result in further diversification of
Mhm.
real estate offerings in the
Right.
market. What's positive also about REIT is that these companies are divesting
Mhm.
assets such as office or
Right.
even in the future, perhaps toll roads or currently industrial
Mhm.
facilities, warehouses, which
Mhm.
are generating recurring income. So you have this steady supply of recurring income, which should bode well for a lot of property investment. So it is an
Right.
alternative investment option,
Mhm.
not just for the individual retail investors, but I think this is also a
Yeah.
very good avenue for
Mhm.
developers to raise their own capital. This is an alternative measure to generate the fresh revenues and acquire
Right.
more properties. Also, you have the
Mhm.
likes of Ayala Land, the
Yeah.
Philinvest, for example, saying that they want to use REIT proceeds to acquire more properties. Ayala did that, acquiring a property in Cebu. There
Mhm.
are developers with REIT companies that are planning to further expand their industrial footprint, talking about Double
Right.
Dragon, for example. And
Mhm.
there are companies that are really, expanding
Yeah.
their residential, uh, office footprint in the future, and
Yeah.
they want to do that by, of course, generating
Mhm.
more assets using their REIT companies.
Right.
And so it's really an exciting time for the property market and for individual as well
Mhm.
as institutional investors.
Yeah. I've seen good feedback from retail investors about the REITs in the past few months as Mega World launched its REITs also, Robinson's Land, Philinvest, and like what you mentioned, Ayala Land. And we can see that for retail investors, it's really a good opportunity. But because imagine, before investing in real estate, it will require you a big amount of capital, but through REITs, you can really invest in these companies with a small amount of capital. It's really a win-win scenario for both the developers and the investors. And we can see that it can all contribute for nation building. As a country, we can expand more the developments in different areas of our country. Thank you, Joey, for those insights. And for retail investors, they can access REITs through online brokerage companies that they can look into the internet, such as COL Financial, and other brokerages. So Joey, thank you for your insights in the residential, office sector, warehousing, and logistics. Siguro ito final question lang kasi marami sa ating mga listeners ngayon are curious where should they invest their hard-earned money, properties na pwede nilang bilhin. Maybe we can just give them overview or insight regarding if you're, for example, a first-time property owner, is it good to buy in suburban locations or in business districts? What are their parameters that they should consider before acquiring one?
Similar to what I mentioned previously, it still
Mm,
depends on the money
yeah,
that they have at this point
right.
and their risk profile. So
Mm,
some, of course, still want to be within the integrated communities because they believe that the post-pandemic, beyond COVID-19, we will, have a better, newer normal, but that also includes having to go back to our respective offices, working on
yeah,
site. So if they acquire a property within an integrated community, they'll be able to maximize the live, work, play lifestyle. Of course, we can't
mm,
deny the fact that if you are living in an integrated community or township, you get to enjoy
yeah,
all these amenities, all these perks. But for those that are planning to work outside of Metro Manila for the long term, of course,
yeah,
acquiring a 3-4 million house
mm,
and lot unit
yeah,
outside of Metro Manila is a viable option as well, especially those that they think that they will be allowed to work from home for the long term. So that's an option for them. So
Yeah.
again, it depends because you have investors,
Mhm.
for example, the OFW market. So
Mhm.
they have their own financial and investment goals. They have, of course, a different risk profile and perhaps a different set of aspirations. So
Right.
the investment options, of course, would vary. And if
Mhm.
you now think about the millennials, the young urban professionals, early nesters,
Mhm.
those starting to build their own families, of course, you have now a different set of people with a different set of financial and the property investment goal. So it really differs. You have
Yeah.
this wide array of financial goals, and what's
Mhm.
good about the Philippine property market is that it is really a diversified property market. So you
Yeah.
have lot of options. You may acquire a house a lot or a
Mhm.
lot only a project. But if you also want a condominium unit within an integrated community, a township, you have a lot of options as well. What's interesting is
Yeah.
that the condominium projects are no longer confined within Metro Manila. You can even invest in a condominium project outside of Metro Manila, and you have key urban areas such as Laguna and Pampanga, or even outside of Luzon, you have Cebu,
Oh,
Iloilo, Davao, that really have all
yeah.
these condominium vertical projects that
Mhm.
you can choose from. So we believe that, post COVID-19, beyond 2021, we
Mhm.
will see a better, newer normal for the Philippine property market, which will only bode well
Yeah.
for Filipino investors. So really interesting times
Mhm.
for developers, for investors, and Filipino end users. And of course, once we beat this COVID-19, it will, really just be an interesting time for the Filipino property market. And, we really can't wait to
Yeah.
capture the gains,
Mhm.
economic gains
Mhm.
from these from the growth of the national economy and the
Right.
opportunities that really uh, await us. So interesting times ahead for us.
Yeah, great insights. No? I think it's really about looking at your personal goals, long-term goals, short-term
Yes.
positioning before acquiring a property. And at the end of the day, there will be a lot of developments moving forward. As we wrap up, Joey, in line with the build, 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 do we see upcoming infrastructures coming up this end of 2021 or maybe 2022? May mga bago pa bang itatayo na pwedeng mag-position yung mga investors natin as we wrap up our episode? Yeah.
In our view, over the next 12 to 24 months, based
Mhm.
on the timeline of the government,
Yeah.
so you still have the BGC Ortigas Link Bridge, MRT 7. So these are
Mhm.
interesting projects that are likely to be completed over the next 12 to 24 months, which should make living within Metro Manila still attractive. But not only that, of course, they really help a lot of commuters
Yeah.
from outside of Metro Manila to visit selected cities in Metro Manila, improving connectivity, access, and as we always say at Colliers Philippines, these infrastructure projects also help raise property prices, no capital values, and even rental values. So
Mhm.
this project, this build program of the government just bodes well for the
Yeah.
property market, and we hope that this program is continued even
Mhm.
after this current administration.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joey, for your relevant
Thank you.
insights and really timely. Siguro as we end, no, where the listeners can contact you, do you have kumbaga active social media channel where they can reach out or upcoming webinars where we can invite them?
Well, Colliers Philippines is active on social media, so please
Mhm.
visit Our Facebook page. We have Twitter page as well. We're on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
Instagram, and YouTube. So you may watch selected videos, curated videos for you guys. So please follow us on our social media platforms.
All right. Thank you very much, Joey, for
Thank
giving
you.
us your time, and see you again in our upcoming
Yeah,
episodes.
sure.
God bless, Joey.
Thank you.
All right.